Dark psychology. You ever notice how some people can smile at you and still make you feel small? That's the strange thing about human behavior. Not every wound comes from hate. Sometimes it comes from manipulation hidden inside kindness. Dark psychology is not always about criminals, evil masterminds, or movie villains. Most of the time, it lives inside normal conversations, daily life, friendships, relationships, even families. The scary part? Many people use it without even realizing it. A person ignores your messages for hours, but suddenly replies when they feel lonely. Someone jokes about your insecurities and calls it just humor. A friend competes with you silently instead of supporting you. A person gives attention, then suddenly disappears just to make you chase them. This is how emotional control slowly begins. Sometimes people don't want your happiness. They want your attention, your validation, your emotional dependence. And once they know you care deeply, they start controlling your emotions without touching you. One of the darkest truths about life is this: people study your weaknesses more than your strengths. They notice what makes you emotional, what makes you insecure, what makes you desperate. Then they use it carefully, not loudly, quietly, because silent manipulation is stronger than aggression. A manipulative person rarely screams. They stay calm while confusing you. They twist words. They deny things they clearly said. They make you question your own memory. You start thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe everything is my fault. That's how emotional manipulation works. It doesn't break your bones. It breaks your confidence. And the saddest part? Good-hearted people suffer the most from it. Why? Because kind people try to understand everyone, even the people hurting them. A loyal person keeps giving chances. A soft heart keeps forgiving. And manipulators love people who forgive too easily. In daily life, dark psychology hides behind simple behaviors. Someone praises you only when others are watching. Someone becomes cold when you stop giving them attention. Someone pretends to care just enough to keep you attached. Humans are strange. Sometimes they don't miss you. They miss controlling your presence. And sometimes people don't love you. They love how useful you are to them. That realization changes everything. You begin understanding why some conversations feel draining, why certain people make you feel tired after meeting them, why some smiles feel fake even when the words sound sweet. Energy never lies. Your mind notices danger before your heart accepts it, but emotions make humans blind, especially loneliness. Lonely people ignore red flags because attention feels comforting. That's why manipulation works better on emotional people. Not because they are weak, but because they crave connection deeply. Dark psychology also exists in social media now. People pretend to live perfect lives, perfect relationships, perfect happiness. But behind the screen, many are broken, insecure, and emotionally exhausted. Comparison becomes silent poison. You start feeling behind in life because everyone only posts victories, never their suffering. And slowly, people begin measuring self-worth through likes, views, and attention. Attention has become modern currency. The louder someone appears online, the emptier they sometimes feel inside. Another dark truth? Some people enjoy making others jealous, not because they are happy, but because envy gives them validation. That's why some people show off constantly, not to celebrate life, but to prove superiority. Ego hides behind aesthetics. Even silence has psychology behind it. Sometimes silence means peace. Sometimes silence means punishment. People suddenly become distant to see if you'll chase them. They disappear to feel important. They act cold to gain emotional power. And the person who cares more usually suffers more. That's why emotional balance is dangerous to manipulators. A person who controls emotions becomes difficult to control. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are the calmest. They observe more than they react. Dark psychology teaches one important reality. Humans reveal their true nature when they stop needing you. Watch behavior after disagreement. Watch behavior after success. Watch behavior when you say no. That's where real faces appear. Anyone can act kind during benefit. Character appears during inconvenience. Some people use guilt as a weapon. They remind you of what they did for you, not out of love, but to control your decisions. Real kindness doesn't keep score. Another painful truth: some people apologize only to keep access to you, not because they changed. Words are easy. Patterns reveal truth. A manipulative person fears one thing the most: a person who finally sees clearly. Because once awareness enters your mind, emotional chains begin breaking. You stop begging. Stop explaining yourself repeatedly. Stop chasing people who enjoy your confusion. And suddenly your silence becomes stronger than their games. Dark psychology is everywhere. In fake friendships. In toxic love. In workplace politics. In family expectations. In human ego. But understanding it doesn't mean becoming cold-hearted. It means becoming aware. There's a difference between kindness and emotional slavery. You can love people without losing yourself. You can care without destroying your peace. You can forgive without reconnecting. That is emotional intelligence. Many people think strength means aggression. No, real strength is emotional control. Anyone can react. Few can stay calm. Anyone can manipulate. Few can stay genuine in a fake world. And maybe that's the hardest thing now: remaining real in a world addicted to pretending. At the end of the day, dark psychology teaches one final lesson: protect your mind, because not every battle is physical. Some battles happen silently inside your emotions, and the people smiling beside you are not always fighting for you. Sometimes they are fighting against your peace quietly. So observe carefully, trust slowly, speak less, notice actions, and never ignore the feeling that warns you in silence. Because the human mind is powerful, but human intentions are deeper than they appear. The older you grow, the more you realize something strange. People don't always leave because you are bad for them. Sometimes they leave because you stopped being easy to control. That's why boundaries make manipulative people uncomfortable. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect, their behavior changes. Suddenly you become rude, different, cold, but in reality, you just became harder to use. Dark psychology often hides inside emotional dependency. Some people make you feel special only so you stay attached to them. They give attention like a reward, then remove it like punishment. One day they make you feel important. The next day they act distant. This confusion creates emotional addiction, because humans chase inconsistency more than stability. A person who always stays available becomes ordinary, but a person who appears and disappears becomes unforgettable. That's why toxic people are hard to forget, not because they loved deeply, but because they trained your emotions to survive on unpredictability. It's similar to gambling. Sometimes you win attention, sometimes you lose it, and your brain becomes addicted to maybe. Maybe they care, maybe they'll change, maybe things will become better. But maybe is one of the most dangerous emotional prisons. Another dark truth about humans: people often respect what they cannot control. When you are too available, people take you for granted. When you always say yes, your value decreases. When you tolerate everything, disrespect becomes normal. Sad reality. Humans appreciate scarcity more than loyalty. That's why silence scares people more than arguments. Arguments still show emotional attachment. Silence shows emotional detachment. And nothing hurts ego more than losing emotional control over someone. Ego is powerful. Sometimes people don't want love. They want victory. That's why small misunderstandings become huge wars. Nobody wants to understand. Everyone wants to win. In relationships, many arguments are not about truth. They are about dominance. Who apologizes first? Who cares more? Who chases more? Love slowly turns into power competition. And once ego enters love, peace disappears. Another dark psychological fact: people reveal secrets accidentally during anger. Anger removes masks. A calm person may hide jealousy for years, but one emotional moment exposes everything. That's why emotionally intelligent people observe reactions carefully. Reactions speak louder than rehearsed words. Some people secretly compete with friends. They smile at your success, but feel uncomfortable when you grow faster than them. Not everyone clapping for you is happy for you. Envy is silent, very silent. A jealous person rarely attacks directly. Instead, they discourage slowly. They joke about your dreams, doubt your abilities, ignore your achievements. Support strangers more than you. because watching your confidence grow hurts their ego. And sometimes the people closest to you secretly fear your potential the most. Dark psychology also exists in attraction. People become more interested when they feel uncertain. Too much honesty can appear boring to emotionally immature minds. Mystery creates obsession. That's why some people hide emotions intentionally. Not because they are strong, but because emotional distance creates curiosity. Humans chase what feels difficult. It's strange. Many people ignore genuine love, then cry over toxic attachment. Why? Because peace feels unfamiliar to damaged minds. Chaos feels exciting. A calm relationship may feel boring to someone used to emotional drama. So they unconsciously create problems just to feel intensity again. Trauma changes attraction. Another painful reality, some people project their insecurities onto others. A liar accuses others of lying. A cheater becomes suspicious easily. An insecure person criticizes confidence. Humans often attack qualities they secretly lack. That's why confident people receive hate. Their existence reminds insecure people of their own fears. Social groups also use dark psychology. Notice how groups pressure people to fit in. Different opinions become dangerous. Originality becomes uncomfortable. People fear rejection so deeply, they pretend to be someone else just to feel accepted. Many personalities are actually survival masks. The funny person hiding sadness. The strong person hiding exhaustion. The calm person hiding loneliness. Humans become actors without realizing it, and social media made it worse. Now people edit emotions like photos. Everyone wants to appear unbothered, perfect, successful, desired. But reality looks very different at 2 a.m. when nobody is watching. That's where truth lives, in silence, in private thoughts, in hidden insecurities. Dark psychology teaches that humans crave validation more than honesty. People change personalities depending on who they are around. Why? Because acceptance feels safer than authenticity. But constantly pretending becomes mentally exhausting. Soon you forget who you really are. One of the deepest manipulations in life is guilt. You changed. You don't care anymore. You think you're better now. Sometimes these phrases are not emotional pain. They are emotional traps. People use guilt when control begins slipping away. And empathetic people fall into this easily. Because good hearts fear hurting others. That's why manipulators target kind people. A kind person explains too much, forgives too much, understands too much. Meanwhile, toxic people use that compassion against them. Another dark truth, closure is rare. Most people never explain why they changed. One day energy disappears, effort disappears, warmth disappears, and you sit there wondering what happened. But sometimes confusion itself is the answer. People become distant when emotional benefit disappears. That realization hurts, but it also frees you, because you stop romanticizing everyone. Not every connection is genuine. Not every smile is pure. Not every compliment is honest. Awareness protects peace, and peace becomes valuable after experiencing manipulation. You start enjoying solitude more, because solitude is peaceful. Confusion is exhausting. That's why mature people prefer small circles. Less noise, less drama, less fake energy. Dark psychology also explains why humans fear silence during conversations. People talk too much when nervous, too much when insecure, too much when trying to prove value. But calm silence creates psychological pressure. The person comfortable with silence usually controls the conversation emotionally. Silence makes others reveal more. That's why intelligent observers speak less and notice everything. Another reality, people remember emotions more than words. You may forget conversations, but never forget how someone made you feel. That's why emotional manipulation leaves deep scars. It changes self-worth slowly. You begin doubting your instincts, overthinking simple situations, apologizing for things that aren't your fault, and healing from that takes time. But healing begins the moment you stop blaming yourself for others' toxic behavior. Not everyone who hurts you is confused. Some people know exactly what they are doing. That truth is difficult to accept, because humans like believing everyone has a good heart, but reality is more complex. Some people seek peace. Some seek power, some seek attention, some seek emotional control, and sometimes the biggest danger comes from people who look harmless. That's why observation is powerful. Listen carefully, notice patterns, watch consistency. Real people stay consistent. Manipulative people stay strategic. At the end, dark psychology is not about becoming emotionless. It's about understanding human nature deeply enough to protect your peace. Because the world is full of people who mastered pretending. And in a world full of masks, awareness becomes survival.